Hey everyone, welcome back. It's funny, I was reading something the other day, and it got me thinking, what if you could tell your equipment was about to break down before it actually happened?
Sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah, but it's not science fiction anymore. It's all thanks to AI and how it's shaking things up in the manufacturing world.
Absolutely. It's incredible to see how far we've come.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're talking about AI and manufacturing, and trust me, this is a deep dive you won't want to miss. We're checking out this really cool article from XLM's Continuous TV Weekly newsletter. It's called, Can Your AML Stack Do This? Predict, Monitor, and Retrieve. Catchy title, right?
Definitely grabs your attention.
It really does. So this article dives into three big things: continuous predictive maintenance, or cPdM for short.
Much easier to say.
Right. Then there's continuous temperature monitoring, CTM, and last but definitely not least, continuous GPT, or cGPT.
And each one of these is a game changer in its own way. It's amazing how each one tackles a specific challenge in manufacturing. They all come together to make things way more efficient, which, let's be honest, means saving some serious cash.
Okay, so let's break it down. First up, cPdM. Picture this. You've got sensors all over your factory, and they're like those little gadgets doctors use to listen to your heartbeat. But instead of a heart, they're listening to your machines.
I like that. A constant health check for your equipment.
Exactly. And these sensors, they're picking up on every little squeak and groan, every tiny change before it becomes a major meltdown.
It's all about catching those subtle signs early on, and that's where AI comes in. It can analyze all that data from the sensors, really understand what it all means.
So we're talking tons of data, right? But it's not just about collecting it, it's about making sense of it all.
Exactly. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack if you don't organize the data first. That's why data pre-processing is so important. It gets everything cleaned up and ready for the AI to do its thing. And that's where we get into feature engineering.
Feature engineering. Okay, now you're just using big words to make me look bad.
Not at all. Think of it like this. You're giving the AI the tools it needs to understand all that data.
So instead of just random numbers, it's seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. Trends over time, patterns, anomalies, things that might not be obvious to us humans just by looking at raw data.
And once the AI has figured all that out, what happens next?
That's where those powerful machine learning models we always hear about come into play. They analyze all that data to find patterns that could mean a problem's brewing.
Like having a whole team of experts, but instead of humans, it's algorithms.
That's a great way to put it. They're on call 24/7, always watching, always learning, and the best part, they can often even tell you what kind of problem is about to happen.
Talk about cutting out the guesswork. That's got to save companies a ton of money, right?
You bet. We're talking potential savings of 30 to 50% just on maintenance costs alone. That's huge.
Music to any business owner's ears.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered cPdM, those super sleuthing sensors, and now we're moving on to CTM, which is all about temperature. But this isn't your grandma's thermostat, right?
Not even close.
Yeah.
We're talking about maintaining precise temperatures, often across entire facilities, which is super critical for industries like, say, pharmaceuticals.
Right, because even a tiny temperature swing could mean disaster for a whole batch of medicine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where CPM comes in. It's like having a vigilant guardian, constantly monitoring for any unexpected changes.
So if there's a sudden spike in the temperature somewhere it shouldn't be, CTM is going to catch it.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is CTM doesn't just sound the alarm. Because it's always analyzing data from all those sensors, it can often pinpoint the source of the problem.
Oh, wow. So it's like, hey, someone left the door open in warehouse B.
Exactly. Or maybe it's a sign of a bigger issue, like a problem with the HVAC system. Either way, CTM gives you the insights you need to act fast and prevent a bad situation from becoming a catastrophe. And for industries working with the FDA where regulations are super strict, that kind of peace of mind is priceless.
Absolutely. So CTM is all about making sure things run smoothly, keeping everything in check.
You got it. And speaking of keeping things running smoothly, let's talk about Continuous GPT, or cGPT for short.
This is the part I've been waiting for. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of just talking to their data? Like, hey, data, tell me everything. It's like something out of a movie.
Right. Well, it's not quite that simple
Yeah.
yet. But cGPT does make accessing and understanding data a whole lot easier. Instead of digging through spreadsheets or struggling with complicated dashboards, you can just ask a question.
No way. So I could be like, hey, cGPT, what was the average temperature in that storage unit last week? And it'll just tell me.
Exactly. It acts like a natural language interface for all your manufacturing data.
Okay, but how does it actually work? What's going on behind the scenes to make that magic happen?
Well, it uses something called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. Basically, it combines the power of those large language models we mentioned earlier, the LLMs, with something called external knowledge sources.
Okay, RA, LLMs, external knowledge sources. You're losing me a little.
Okay. Think of it like this. The LLMs, they're like the brains of the operation. They understand language and how to respond to you. But even the smartest brains need information, right? That's where the external knowledge sources come in. They're like a giant library for the LLM, full of reports, documents, sensor readings, you name it.
So it's like giving the AI access to everything it needs to know, and RA is like the librarian helping it find the right book.
Exactly. When you ask CGPT a question, it uses RA to pull the relevant information from all those external knowledge sources, and boom, you get your answer. And often, it even gives you citations so you know where the information came from.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a super-powered research assistant who actually knows what they're talking about.
Right. And it's not just about answering questions either. CGPT can also summarize data, generate reports, even translate technical jargon into plain English.
Okay, that is seriously cool. But it gets even better, right? Because CGPT can work with all those other systems we've been talking about, like cPdM and cTM.
You got it. It's like the glue that holds everything together, creating this incredible interconnected system. Imagine this. Your CKM system detects a temperature anomaly. Now, CGPT can jump in, pull data from both CTM and cPdM, and give you a complete picture of what's going on.
Ah, that's so smart. So instead of just reacting to a single issue, you're seeing the bigger picture, right? Maybe that temperature spike is related to a problem with a piece of equipment that cPdM has already flagged as a potential risk.
Exactly. And that kind of insight allows you to be proactive, to address potential problems before they become major headaches. It's about making smarter decisions, saving time and money, and ultimately running a more efficient and profitable operation.
This is incredible. It really feels like CGPT is a total game changer, giving manufacturers a level of control and insight they could only dream of before. But with all this talk of AI, data flying around, interconnected systems, I have to ask, what about security?
Yeah, that's a smart question. Security is a big deal, especially with all this talk about AI and data sharing. But the good news is systems like CGPT take security very seriously.
Okay, good to know. So how do they make sure everything is locked down tight?
Well, for starters, they use things like Azure AD authentication. It's a really robust system.
Azure AD authentication, is that like a super secure login system?
Exactly. And make sure that only authorized users can access the system. Plus, all the data is encrypted.
Encrypted, so even if someone managed to sneak in, they wouldn't be able to read anything.
Exactly. It's like having a bank vault for your data, multiple layers of protection.
That definitely makes me feel better. You know, as we've been talking about cPdM, CTM, and CGPT, I keep thinking about the bigger picture here. This isn't just about fancy technology, it's about a whole new way of doing things, right?
Absolutely. It's a fundamental shift in how manufacturing works. Instead of waiting for things to break down, we can anticipate problems and prevent them. Instead of data being stuck in silos, it's all connected, giving us a much clearer picture of what's going on.
It's like we're moving from reactive to proactive.
Exactly. And that opens up so many possibilities.
So for our listeners out there, what's the key takeaway here? What do they really need to know about AI and manufacturing?
I think the biggest takeaway is that AI is no longer some futuristic dream. It's here now, and it's already changing how things are done.
And it's only going to get more powerful from here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And more accessible, too.
So for those who are just starting to explore AI, what advice would you give them?
Don't be afraid to start small. Find a specific problem you want to solve and see how AI can help. There's so much information out there, and you don't have to do everything at once. Start with one thing, get comfortable with it, and then go from there.
I love that. Start small, one step at a time. You know, another thing that's been on my mind is while we've been focusing on manufacturing, this technology has implications far beyond the factory floor, right?
Absolutely. The same AI that can predict equipment failures can also help us diagnose diseases earlier or even personalize education for students.
It's incredible to think about all the possibilities, how these breakthroughs can have a ripple effect across so many different fields. It's exciting and, if I'm being honest, a little bit intimidating.
I understand that. With any new technology, there are always going to be challenges, but I'm optimistic. I think that if we use AI responsibly, with a focus on the greater good, it has the potential to make a real difference in the world.
Well said. And on that note of cautious optimism, I think it's time for us to wrap things up. It's been a fascinating dive into the world of AI and manufacturing.
It really has. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for sharing your expertise. And to our listeners, Thank you for joining us. We hope you learned something new today. And who knows, maybe this has inspired you to explore the world of AI a little bit further. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep your minds open to the possibilities.
And remember, the future is what we make it, so let's make it amazing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. See you next time, everyone.